You're in the middle of a song. You're approaching the end of a verse. So either in the last measure or maybe beat 3 of the last measure, you hit the all stop button. You continue to sing, you continue to play guitar. And then when beat 1 rolls around, you hit all start. You have now successfully added a break into the middle of your song. But what if you don't want to have a break beat only at the end of a loop? What if you want it somewhere in the middle there? That's going to require a function called loop level, and that's today's button of interest. My name is Mike, and this is Cuzolio. Whenever you hit all start stop or even a single track start stop, whenever it starts playing again, you're going to be coming in on measure 1, beat 1. But if you're playing, let's say, the 12-bar blues and you want to have a break for measure 6, if you hit all start stop, when you hit play again, you're not going to be coming in at measure 7. You're going to be coming in at measure 1 again. So this is what we're addressing and maybe a few more things. Okay, let's first talk about the RC600's mixer. So in the manual, you'll see this kind of a screenshot. Here are all your inputs. You got your mic 1 and mic 2, and then your instrument 1 and instrument 2. I happen to have mine not linked together. Another input that people don't consider is that rhythm out level. Your drum track is a different instrument that's pretty much an input into your loops or your mains as an output. So you can adjust the level there in the mixer. Next, you've got your tracks 1 through 6 in the mixer. But if you actually go into the track itself and you try to click the level there, it's going to call it play level. And then there's also a loop out. So loop out is what would actually control all 6 of those together. Finally, you have your outputs. You've got your main out, your sub 1 out, and your sub 2 out. Again, if you have them linked or not linked. Then there's the master out and the phones out. So master out is actually a master for their mains and your subs together. And then finally, there's a small knob that's not in the mixer, but it's off to the side there, the physical knob that says output level. You could have it controlling the master out, you could have it controlling your headphones out, or you can have it controlling all, which is both master and headphones. Just a quick note about how loop out is controlling your tracks. It's not adjusting the individual tracks level settings. Those levels will remain the same throughout. As you change the loop out level, you're not going to override your track levels. Think of it more as like a group or a bus or a master fader. As we stated, the mixer obviously has this control. You can control your loop out level, but the only other place that you can control it is over in your assigns. So there's no selection in the knobs or the pedals or the controls or the expression. All right, first off, you could assign it to a pedal. You could say low is 0 and high is 100, and that's effectively going to be muting your loops. There might be an edge case where some of you are using the all start stop button to talk to other devices on MIDI, and sometimes that might be screwing things up. So instead of doing song breaks with all start stop, you could do song breaks with the loop level. Let's now imagine you're assigning it to a pedal, but this time you've got your low and high settings at 80 and 100. That could be a volume trim. So you could reduce the volume of the loops for a bridge or a solo, probably solo. Once again, you can assign to a pedal, but this time your low would be your nominal value and high could be a little bit higher, and that could be a volume boost pedal. So you could, boost during a chorus or a solo. Lastly, you can assign this thing to an expression pedal, probably setting it from low 0 to high 100, and it kind of becomes multifunctional. So you can do everything up above minus boost, because I don't know anybody good enough to continuously get an expression pedal at exactly 80% every time so that your loop levels returns to its nominal position. You might annoy your audience by accidentally setting it a little higher and a little lower throughout the song if you're going to use it that way. You can also fade out at the end of a song. So that adds just great variety. A lot of people are always trying to hit the all stop, but if you just want to fade out, you could keep playing your guitar or not so that it's just a solo. Yes, there is a fade out stop mode, but that would mean you have to do that for every time you're stopping. So this is how you can add that without constraining yourself. All right, so I set up an example mode for you that shows the difference between all these things. You can see at the top of your screen, we've got tracks 1 through 4 on buttons 1 through 4. I got a mute loops on 5, a trim loops on 6. All start stop is there. Muting the mains is right here. And boosting is right there. I also have my expression pedals set up over here. Just to give an example, like it shows, I got drums on the first one. Guitar, bass, and the fourth one is just to show you the difference between measure 1 and measure 3. Measure 1, 2,
can stop right there. That's your normal break. That's how you can always hit start and stop. And if you want to, stop in the middle. 3 is your company. Oh, didn't work. Alright, that's why we're doing this a different way. So, down here we got muting of loops. The loneliest number. 3 is Alright. Now let's try this muting of the mains. I'm gonna keep playing my guitar. You're not gonna hear me. Alright, so the mains cut out. Even though I could still hear it in my headphones, you wouldn't hear it through the main speakers. Alright, let's just try the trim. It goes back down. Maybe you want a little guitar. Opposite effect, maybe you want to really blast it out for the chorus. 3 is a company. So there's all your different options. And again, if you want to try and hit like an exactly 80% or something, if you're going to boost, and then come back to the same, never get. Let's imagine the song's ending, and that can start to fade out while playing. 1 is the loneliest number. 3 is a company. Or better yet, just fade it out. 3 is a company.
This entire time I've been talking about the RC600 when describing this function, but this isn't just for the RC600. The criteria is this: can I get flexible volume control of everything looping? So that means volume trim, boost, fade out, and breaks in a song. And does it affect the inputs pass through? So can I do those things without affecting the volume of my microphone and my instruments? So here are the results. First and foremost, the best one I think is actually the RC10R. It has 2 tracks and a drum track, and yes, it's available with just a single function. So it's got two different ways you can do it. There's a function called total level, which brings up and down the volume of the 2 tracks and the rhythm track together. Finally, there's another function on the RC10R, which is why I really like it, and this is exactly what we want. It will break the 2 tracks and the rhythm until the next measure. So it'll do it for you. You don't have to time when it comes back in. That's really cool. You can control this through the built-in expression pedal, a control pedal, or even a MIDI controller and assign the CC number. For Sheeran loopers, you've got 4 tracks, and up to 2 of those tracks can be dedicated to drums, but essentially you have 4 total tracks that you need to be changing the levels of all at once. There's a function called mute all tracks, so that will be your break in a song. There's a all tracks fade, that will fade out at the end of the song. And so each of those could be 1 or 2 assigns that you could put on one of your MIDI controllers. Or if you want total control, your MIDI controller has to be sending 4 different signals at the same time to control all 4 tracks volume, and that will give you the ultimate flexibility. Coming in 3rd place is the RC600. It's got 6 tracks plus the rhythm section, and this again kind of depends. We've been talking this entire time about loop level, but that's just because I don't use the built-in rhythm section. I use that as my drum machine, and I record the drums to one of my loops. But if you're the type of person who uses the rhythm section, you're going to need two assigns, one for loop level and one for rhythm level. You can assign these functions to any of the pedals on board, or the expression pedal, or the control pedal, or through a MIDI controller. Next is the Boss RC5. This only has one track plus the rhythm track, and this is mostly available. There are two commands you can send, track level 2 and rhythm level 2, that you would have to assign at the same time. The trouble is this is only through a external MIDI controller, and there are 8 assigns on the Boss RC5. Using up 2 assigns when there's only 8 total available is a little tough to swallow. Also, this pedal plus a few other RC pedals have a function called memory level. This might be an override that you can use just one assign on, but I don't have it, so I can't confirm. The language in the manuals doesn't really explicitly say that yes, the inputs are passed through when you are bringing up and down the memory level. I'm not sure if that's the equivalent to mains or if it's equivalent to loop level. Let me know if you have one of these and what it does. If I ever make an update video, it's going to appear right here now. Next comes the TC Electronics Ditto LooperX 4. This has 2 tracks. It's mostly available. The functions are called Looper 1 level and Looper 2 level, and they're always the same exact CC numbers if you're gonna do it through MIDI. Next is the Boss RC500. It's got 2 tracks plus a drum track. This is, again, mostly all there. You got to send 3 functions this time: T1 level 2, T2 level 2, rhythm level 2, and again, this only has 8 assigns, so you got to use up 3 just for this. That's pretty tough to swallow. Next comes the SheeranLooper+. It has 2 tracks, and this one you can only really do a break in the song by using 2 commands. You can mute tracks A and mute tracks B using an external pedal. A quick note, if you're going to use your control pedal that's built in, you actually have to use both buttons on that auxiliary switch. Now, somewhat surprising for me was that the Boss RC505 doesn't have a lot of functionality here. It has 5 tracks plus a drum track, and it technically can do it. And I'll explain a couple different ways. So if you want to control all 5 of those tracks plus the drum track, the rhythm section, you've got to send 6 assigns. If you're the kind of person that's recording drums to one of the tracks, then maybe it's only 5. And again, 5 or 6 assigns when you only have 16 total is really tough pill to swallow. The other solution is that you actually don't need any assigns at all. You've got 5 giant faders in front of you. Use both hands and slide them down, slide them up. You can do all the things you want. But at this point, we really have to state, we are not setting the individual track levels and then just affecting the bus going up and down like all these other ones. This is you're truly changing the level of each individual track. Last but not least, I was rather surprised that the RC300 doesn't have any features that are really equivalent to this, nor does the RC1, the Ditto LooperX2, or the Ditto Looper. For all those ones, they're down on the ground. You can certainly bend down and adjust the faders there, but more than likely, let's just call this off the table for you. So that's it. If you want to add some variety to your songs, you could fade out at the end, you could add breaks in the middle. Don't do it for every song. If you like this function, add it into your workflow. If it's not for you, it's not for you. My name is Mike, and this is Cuzolio. Cheers.